حياكم الله جميعا. Every day we are presented with opportunities to exercise leadership, to contribute to making our lives better for ourselves and for the people around us, for our organizations, for our communities. Some of us take the challenge, and some of us shy away from this. Everyone in this room is a leader in his or her own right, basically. Many leadership books are about inspiration, and thousands of them. This book is really about perspiration, about the difficulties of exercising leadership. And it talks about the difficulties of really being a leader, and how can you stay alive exercising leadership. It's about putting yourself and your ideas on the line. It's about responding to the risks that come with leadership. And it's about really staying alive in order to be able to have a meaningful contribution to the life you are leading. Leadership is not about titles, positions, or status. Many definitions of leadership. I'd like to believe that leadership is really beyond the material gains and the personal advancements. It's about identifying problematic realities and engaging in learning, listening, and inducing progress in improving human conditions, whether it's at the personal level or the organizational level, national level, or global level. And I hope this book will bring some useful concepts for all of us and help us lead better lives, inshallah. The author of the book is Ronald Heifetz and his partner Marty Linsky, but Heifetz really is the godfather of the adaptive leadership school of thought, basically. He's been a professor for 35 years at the Kennedy School at Harvard University. And he coined the term, basically, adaptive leadership. And they have really a school of thought. He has many professors with him right now. And they have several books, actually. And they teach courses along this one. It's a very nice thing to attend a course where the professor signed the book for you. This is the book we are talking about. But really, it's part of a suite of adaptive leadership. He has this book, Leadership Without Easy Answers. They have this book, Adaptive Leadership, The Practice of Adaptive Leadership. They have Dean Williams also with Real Leadership. So they all come from the idea of adaptive leadership and how is it different from the classical leadership theory. These books are about outside in, except for the one that we are reviewing today. The Leadership on the Line is inside out. It's about you, about every one of us in this room, about anyone who exercises leadership, with formal authority or without formal authority. Please start making this distinction. Leaders are not people with titles. And by the way, people, we still have some spaces inside. It's not, Ghassan, are you over 50? People over 55 can have a seat in front, please. Ghassan, Ibrahim, please, I want to grill you شوية. So we need, I'm saying this because we need to start separating in our minds the issue of leadership between the title and the people and who is exercising leadership. So this book is really about us, about the individual. And yes, I read the book. I took the course with Ronald Heifetz, one of the toughest courses in my life. Emotionally draining, really. We had our differences. But to give him credit, يعني لا يجرمنكم شنآن قوم على ألا تعدلوا اعدلوا هو أقرب للتقوى. Despite all the difficulties, this professor made a profound impact in my life. And a survey for Harvard graduates, 5 years after they graduate, this is the most lasting impact of a course because it touches every one of us. So I will be relating to you the book, not my opinions. So be patient, please. And I will use his language. He says you. In some cultures, when you say you, they feel offended. So I will be saying, you should do this, you should do that. This is the book, not me. So please kick back, relax, be patient. If you don't like what you see, you got irritated, just say, Allahumma inni sa'im. That's okay. And hopefully we'll have some time towards the end to also listen to your impressions. It's not a Q&A. I'm not presenting my ideas to be answering for. I'm just presenting to you what's in the book. And before I get into it, I really would like us to be open-minded and depersonalize things. You cannot resist the fact of thinking of these concepts, how they are projected into our realities, into our lives. But try to keep your thoughts towards the end. Be patient with me for about maybe less than 30 minutes. But let's listen to the whole story, and then we'll open it up for people to say whatever they like. So, the book has 11 chapters, 3 parts, and I will try to spend 2-3 minutes on each chapter just to get the gist of what's in the book. And yes, leadership is dangerous. The roots of the word to lead, according to the American Heritage Dictionary of Indo-European Roots, and this is a nice tactic, by the way, if you want to know the meaning of a word, originally the genesis of a word, go and see the roots of it. So to lead is to go forward, and to die. Sahih? This is the genesis of the word, is to go forward and to die. And you can see that the two aspects are very clear. It's about making progress and about taking risks for the community that you are leading. It's not a nice, cozy corner. It's a huge responsibility. And it's dangerous because it's about change, and hopefully for the better. It's about moving people from the status quo, which may entail challenging their views, beliefs, and the benefits they have. And they might not get along with you on the journey. And the leader is not only the president, the CEO, the directors, it's every one of us, regardless of the community that we are trying to move around. So as a matter of fact, if they don't like what you are asking them to let go with, they will try to take you out. They will try to bring you down. Not because they hate you, because they want to preserve what they have. Somehow, they will try to do something about this. And this is the danger of leadership. It's not the cozy, nice title, office, what have you. And I would like to start by this quote from the book itself. And it says, people don't resist change per se. People resist loss. You appear dangerous to people when you question their values, beliefs, and habits. You place yourself on the line when you tell people what they need to hear, rather than what they want to hear. Although you may say, or you may see with clarity and passion, a promising future of progress and gain, people will see with equal passion the losses that you are asking them to sustain. So this is really at the heart of leadership. There is a danger in there. And the danger comes up when you are dealing with adaptive challenges, not technical challenges. Technical problems, you have a machine, broken machine, there is a catalog. There is an operation manual. You do A, B, C, D, you fix it. You don't know, you hire an expert. You don't have an expert, you hire a consultant. There is a way to solve a problem, a technical problem. But adaptive problems are different. They're about changing minds and hearts, changing the way people believe, the way people evaluate themselves and their self-worth. So the technical challenges are not easy. They're about changing hearts and minds. And leaders need to engage with people. They need to get down and listen and see where they are. Simplifying problems, say, okay, we'll get a consultant for this, will not solve the problem. Sometimes due to ignorance or arrogance, you just say it's no big deal. And by the way, ignorance and arrogance is a deadly combination. that a leader really needs to be worried about. And indeed, according to the book, the single most common source of leadership failure is that people with authority and position treat adaptive challenges as technical problems. This is the most significant source of failure. And of course, because sometimes a leader needs to go beyond his or her authority, it's a source of danger. Leadership requires disturbing people, but hopefully at a rate that they can absorb. And at the heart of this danger is loss. People lose something because of change. No matter how fancy a leader you are, when you ask people to change, they are losing something. And you better be aware of that thing. You are asking people to let go with ideas, with behaviors, and sometimes with people who taught them something. And maybe these ideas made them successful in the past. This is what brought them to where they are today. So it's very difficult to move on without not understanding what losses the people are really incurring around. Sorry, I have to move with this one. So when people don't go with you on the journey, they try to take you out. Maybe in their minds. Maybe several ways. They discredit you. Or, according to the book, he has 4 different ways of taking a leader out of the game. Marginalization, the extreme form of it, is assassination. And how many times we hear about leaders being assassinated? For their ideas, not for the people. It's because they represent something. But God forbid, in the realm of organizations and work, it's really about marginalizing that leader. Sometimes it takes the form of inaction, not listening to instructions, playing with instructions. Sometimes about firing. They fire you. They sideline you, reassign you, redeploy you. They marginalize you one way or another. Sometimes it takes a very sweet format. They tell you, you are a special person. The marginalization doesn't have to be by hitting. They tell you, you are the specialized guru in issue X. So they box you with issue X. So you don't have time or capacity to deal with the other issues. One way of marginalizing leaders. Diversion. Consciously or subconsciously. The organization or the community will try to make you lose focus. They broaden your agenda. They overwhelm you with trivial issues, with bureaucratic small things, because your agenda will continue to be busy, so you cannot focus on the real issues. Sometimes they promote you to a glamorous position, to a glamorous role, where you get busy away from the real issue of change. And if this doesn't work, they attack you. They might attack your character, your family, your competence, or simply they misinterpret what you are saying as a leader. Oh, he meant this, he meant that. Oh, this is what he has in his mind. And in attacking people, usually very few people can keep their cool. If somebody attacks you, the natural thing is to get defensive. And you can see the loss of focus and the loss of energy. And focus is the currency of leadership. Attention to the issue is the currency of leadership. And they take you off balance by keeping you busy with all these things surrounding them. And finally, seduction. And seduction is when they start complimenting you. You're the greatest, the best CEO we have seen. You're the best manager, the best director. And if you are one of those people who fall for the applaud, you have the need for people to applaud for you. They can get you like this. You put your hand on something, it turns into gold. And by time you start believing that. As a leader, even a small division manager could fall into this trap, with all due respect to all the division managers. Sometimes at home, team lead of 2-3 people. If your people start treating this way and you have this need for applause, you are under their control. So how to deal with these responses? This is the response to these actions in the second part of the book, and it has 5 chapters. I'll try to go very quickly on them. But the get on the balcony is something that Professor Heifetz came up with, and I had issue with him. I told him this is good for the American culture. You have balcony and you have dance floor. We dance, but really not on the dance floor, like these people. And we don't have balconies like they do, so the metaphor is really, I told him if you have a play field or battlefield, we might be more interested in the thing. But the idea of a balcony is very powerful. It's a mental activity of stepping back in the midst of action and asking, what is really going on in here? What is really going on? Not easy, especially if you have an agenda and you're trying to achieve things, you don't have time, so things will get very difficult for you. But this is very important, to get on the balcony and distinguish what's technical, what's adaptive. Are we working on a technical problem that somebody else can solve it, or are we really needing leadership in this area? Leadership should mobilize people to adapt to a world with different constraints and opportunities than the one that they were used to. It's hearts and minds, as we said. But how do you know that this is a technical problem or an adaptive problem? If you keep getting the ball, hitting the wall, no solution, man, this is an adaptive problem. This is not technical. If there is a crisis, this is an adaptive problem. If people give you something and they do something else, this is an adaptive problem. People have different perspectives, different ways of looking at things. But we need to really understand where they are, where people are, why they're doing this. They just don't listen to me, or they have different provocatives. So the balcony is really about these 4 things. And also we need to listen to the song beneath the word. People coming to you and giving you stories. Don't take it at face value. There's something behind this. And also reading the behavior of authority figures for clues. Look to the people who are trusted in the organization or in the community and see how they think. They give you the pulse of what you are doing down there. The division manager might come to you as a director and tell you, yes, sir, you need to know what's happening in the trenches. Don't take this on a face value. Listen to people who've been there for a long time, see how they behave, what do they say. Think politically. Let me put them all together and just go for the sake of time. And this is in the positive sense of the word. Politically meaning sometimes is a negative connotation in our mind. But politically is really here in the positive sense of the word. Find partners. Even people with a great authority and powerful vision need partners when they try to bring about deep change in the community or the organization. Partners are important. These are the partners who will give you the pulse reading of the organization. And they will be your advocates for real change. Of course, accepting responsibility for your part of the mess is very important. This will minimize the likelihood for you being attacked. Accept responsibility. I goofed off. I made a mistake. I'm willing to change. This is very important. And when it comes from the leader, people will respect that. Acknowledge their losses. People are willing to sacrifice if they understand that these losses are necessary for a better future. Model the behavior. And this is very important. We cannot practice something different from what we preach as leaders. Whether it's in a small procurement or whether it's in a big thing or in dealing with people, we need to really model the behavior that we are calling for. And we need to accept casualties. If you accept casualties, it signals your commitment to the cause. And really, leaders in these times need to orchestrate the conflict rather than be the conflict themselves. Avoid being the center of attention when it comes to conflict. And the book cites 4 things here. Creating a holding environment. Holding environment is a space, safe space, for people to come and tackle tough issues. You are safe to come here and talk about a tough issue. This is where things can come up. If they don't feel safe talking about tough issues, they will not help you as a leader. They will continue to bring you down, whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not. And you need to control the temperature. Sometimes the temperature needs to be raised if people are complacent, lazy, sleeping. They don't want to address the issue. You want to give them the responsibility. You need to raise the temperature. Sometimes you need to raise the temperature to identify the elephant in the room. زي ما نقول نفقع الدملة. But you need to time it very well. Because if you don't, it's smearing inside. And you really need to know how to raise the temperature. At the same time, you need to know how to lower the temperature. You don't want to lose people. Sometimes you, as a leader, you have to step in and take an order so people will calm down. Sometimes you change the discussion to a technical problem so people will calm down. So there is a productive zone where you really need to keep the heat. If you go below this, it's unproductive. If you go beyond this, you will lose few people. And you need to pace the work. You risk failure or even your survival if you do too much too soon. Let your ideas seep slowly but surely within the organization or within the community. And be willing to adjust. And finally, show them the future. It's not enough to say, I know where I'm taking you as a community or as an organization or as a country. They need to know where they are going also. And make sure that they see the future that you are seeing for them and for the community. And the next one is giving the work back. And this is a very powerful mindset. We have the tendency to go to these people and tell them, for your guidance, for your consideration and decision. How many times we do that? It's an easy way for us, people, to send it to the leaders. They will worry about it. They will think about it. They will make the decision. We're safe. As a leader, don't allow this to happen. Give the work back. And take the work off your shoulders. Place it where it should belong. This is how you build capacity. And make sure that your interventions are really short and effective. They are suggesting 4 types here also. It's very easy to jump in there and take a decision as a leader. Resist the temptation. Try to make an observation. Try to ask a question. Try to interpret things in a provocative way. This is how you get people to move on your agenda. If you are always coming in and telling them what to do, and you need to do that sometimes, they will always, you're creating dependency. They will be dependent on you. They know you will come in the room and you will decide. Change this expectation. Ask questions. Make observations. Provoke people. Make them part of the solution rather than they come to listen to you and say, yes, sir. Your likelihood of staying alive will increase by doing so, by the way, as a leader. Because you know many people are in the game. They have skin in the game. It's not only you as a leader. And finally, hold steady. And they have 3 things on this. ثبات على الأمر. You need to take the heat. Keep your cool, even when things are boiling. Silence is sometimes a form of action. Remain true to the purpose, not to the person. And it's very difficult. You remember Zainuddin Zidane when this guy, Italy, 2006, I think, told him your mother something, and then the guy hit him with the head, and he was kicked out of the game, and he lost the world championship, right? Many of us in the same spot will do the same thing, and it's very difficult. But he deprived his team from the leadership at the World Cup at that time. It's not easy to control yourself. But take the heat. Train yourself how I can take the heat from my people, from the outside environment. Let the issue ripen also. Sometimes we jump too soon to issues. What do we mean by the issue ripening? How do we know the issue is ripe or not? You need to ask questions. Do people have different priorities on their mind than my issue that I'm trying to advance. This is the most important thing in my mind as a leader. But people might have different priorities. Check them out. See where they are. Maybe they don't feel the pinch of reality. They don't feel the crisis the same way that you are feeling it. And maybe they don't know. Simply they need to be informed. So you really need to let the issue ripen before you jump into making a decision. And focusing on the issue. Work avoidance mechanisms are many. It's very easy for somebody to say, no, we don't have this problem. As a leader, you're trying to say, we have to. And they say, no, that's it. Denial is one form of work avoidance. Scapegoating. It's the fault of. Or passing the buck. It's the people below me, it's not me. I told them to do so. It's the department. I'm a great director, but it's, can I do? That's work avoidance. And you have also blaming an external enemy. هذول اليهود. And it's not us. It's just the environment outside. It's us. That's very easy, work avoidance, not to deal with the problem. And there's, of course, character assassination. So be careful of all of this, but by holding steady, you give yourself time to let issues ripen and to know where people are so you can refocus attention on the issue at hand. This is, very quickly, you always need to put the work in the middle. And you need to understand the different factions, old people, new people, young people, beneficiaries, stakeholders. How do they perceive this work? You may be here as a leader. And you know what the work should be done. But these people have different perspectives. And if you don't know where they're coming from, I think you're doing yourself disservice. And this is what I was talking about, the heat. You raise the heat in this disequilibrium. This is productive disequilibrium. If you go down here, people will be lazy, work avoidance. It's the mistake of the president. It's the mistake of the leader. It's not me. If you go up here, they start looking somewhere else, they will flee. But if you keep them here, this is how they solve productive, adaptive challenges. Now, if you are bored so far, wait until we get to this part. And this is the last part, by the way. This is my favorite, by the way, because it gets to us personally. Every one of us. God, I love this photo. This photo is very powerful. This is really powerful. This is us when we see the hunger, shahwa, jamiha. And we really need to manage the hungers. And the hungers, according to the book, are 3 types. Hunger for power and control, for affirmation and importance, intimacy and delight. By the way, the easiest way for people to take you out, to bring you down, is to allow you to do this to yourself. This is when you shoot yourself in the foot as a leader. We all have needs, emotional and physical, but self-knowledge and self-discipline are the formation and the foundation of staying alive. We need to recognize our needs. For power, imposing order, coming in and doing things, might feel good in the beginning, in the short term. You might restore order, but this is, and maybe it's a good condition for progress, but it's not progress itself. It's important to remember also that the authority you gain is a product of social expectations. Director in department comes in and says, I am the boss. This is how it's going to be. Remember, I am the boss. This is because of the title you have, because of the role that you have, the social expectations that will listen to you. It's not because of yourself. And to believe it comes from you as a person is an illusion. And according to the book, don't let it get to your head. Sometimes, and I've seen this in our lives, small title. You can see the change of behavior in somebody. And all of a sudden, he's acting like he's, you know. So the power and the need for control needs to be checked, really. Second one is the need for affirmation or importance, significance. I am the center of attention. I am important. Recognize my work. Recognize my efforts. We all need affirmation. We need to feel important and recognized. This is a human nature. We all need that. And this sometimes happens in many forms. People sometimes tell you, when you go to the bank in ta'amil tamayuz, see how you go, you don't have to be in line. You go, your time is good. Sometimes it takes the form of title. He is the deputy secretary, assistant of some minister somewhere. And the guy is walking with feeling important. So, titles, sometimes money, my salary, my package, my status. Sometimes silly things, like my parking spot. It's next to the door, by the way. How important. The way I am received in the airport. The way my office, the size of my office, it has window, it doesn't have window. Sometimes people get down to this level. And as leaders, we need to be aware of the people that we are dealing with. And all of these are easy stuff. The big stuff, and the most dangerous, is when the leader accepts flattering, compliments, in an undisciplined way, which can lead to grandiosity. شعور العظمة, grandiosity. I'm there. I am the man. An inflated sense of value about yourself or your ideas. And indeed, a hunger for importance can make you discount the obvious warning signs that you are in danger. You cannot see the danger coming because you are full of yourself. And managing one's grandiosity means giving up the idea of being the hero, the lone warrior who saves the day. As a matter of fact, this is a recipe for heroic suicide. And the French say the graveyard is full of indispensable people. Don't get it. Don't let it get to you. And according to the book, don't let people seduce you in this. Sometimes you are not this. You don't want to believe this way. New leaders in many countries, you've seen prime ministers, presidents, when they come, they want to learn and they want to do things and stuff. But by the time people around them tell them, you're the leader, you're the great guy, you. By the second, third year, he believes that he is the one. And we can cite many, many examples where people took their countries down the drain and destroyed their country because of they think they know where the solution is. So if you know leaders like this that work with you or for you, you might get angry. And this is right, because many of us are managing a ratio between humility and the need for recognition. We all deal with this. We'd like to be recognized. But there is always this ratio of balancing between being recognized and being humble and being open. But some people lose sight of this. So if you know people like this, don't get angry. Try to understand. According to the book, people with high need for recognition, they need to be dealt with differently. Because this could be a source of, because of product of three things. They could have social circles, professional circles, even history, ancestors. Somebody had a different social setting before they come to this leadership position. They come from a broken family. They had difficult childhood maybe. They do have something that they need to compensate for with this need for recognition and need for significance. Maybe it's their professional lives. Maybe they had successes in the past. They would like to come and continue this success. They cannot accept anything lower than this. And maybe they had failures in their profession and now they see an opportunity for this need of significance. And even more than this, ancestors. Maybe somebody comes from a great tribe. My grandfather is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I have to be treated in a certain way. I need to be recognized. Or otherwise, they might come from a very marginalized tribe. And they need to compensate. And this need for significance comes in this way. So this is very tough stuff, I know. But as leaders, you really need to be aware of all of this. And if it may sound trivial to many of you, and many of you read books and had experiences, but it's really nice to think about it. And the last one is intimacy and delight. And honestly, in our part of the world, maybe because of religion or tradition, it's difficult. We don't see these things. Maybe in the West things are different. But you are holding the environment. Who's holding you? We need support systems outside, at home. We all need to be catered for. So this is something that we cannot really ignore. We need to be touched. We need to be looked at. We need somebody to tell us, you're fine. And sometimes people, if they are not aware of this, they could slip, especially with the opposite sex. They could slip in areas where it's really, really dangerous. And the book gives many, many examples. Clinton. Think of our guy in the IMF, what's his name, Dominic Strauss? Yeah, many powerful people, they slip because they didn't manage these hungers. And they lose their careers and their opportunity, really, to exercise leadership. So the book talks about anchoring yourself. And if you don't take anything from this book, please take this distinguishing role from self. It's a trap. The world and the people around you will treat you in a way that your role, the role you play, is really the essence of you. Your self-worth become really at risk. But if you anchor yourself, you might find the stamina to remain gentle, focused, persistent, and confident in accepting criticism and in accepting compliments and absorbing at many attacks. Because you know that people are dealing with your role in an essence, nothing personal. The book says, remember, when you lead, people don't love you or hate you. Mostly, they don't know you. They don't love you or they don't hate the positions that you are representing to them. And there is also a long-term value in distinguishing between role and self. Roles end. So if you are too caught up in your role, if you come to believe that you and your role are identical, what will happen to you when your role ends? I know a director in this organization a few years back. He was a director of a big department, 50, 60 people. After Eid, they line up to say Eid Mubarak, good morning, kif al-hal, stuff like this. After he got out of his role, guess how many people came in the next Eid to say Eid Mubarak to you? His secretary. Thank you, Abdullah. The point I'm trying to make is very profound. How many examples we know out there? Ministers, presidents, after they get out of the office, they call and nobody answered the call. So be aware of this as you lead, whether it's low level or high level. These things don't last. According to الحكمة العطائية, إن كان يؤلمك العزل فلا تتولين ولاية لا تدوم. If it's very painful for you when you get out of the role, don't accept any role that is not permanent. And no role is permanent. So focus on yourself, your value system, who you are. Second, keep confidence and don't confuse them with allies. Confidence are people who don't have self-interest or conflicting interest with you. People you can vent out to. Let down your guard. You talk to them freely. I'm frustrated in the organization, in the community with this. They don't have a conflictive interest with you. They will tell you what you don't like to hear. And this is where you need as a leader. Each one of us needs somebody like that, whether inside the organization or outside. With the criteria, they don't have a conflicting interest with what you are trying to do. They will tell you things that you never believe that your subordinates or your people will tell you. And don't confuse them with allies. Allies are needed. They're good people, but they have their own criteria. They have their own agenda. They will work with you on one item, 2 items, 3 items. But don't let your guard down with the allies, because one day they will switch on you. They have different priorities then. I'm trying to go fast, I'm really sorry. And seek sanctuary. Sanctuary is really a place where you recompose yourself. In our culture, it might be 2 rak'ahs in a masjid near your house, in your home. Might be a trip to Medina or Umrah. Or it could be a walk in the park. Could be gym. Some cases, swimming pool. Half an hour in the swimming pool might recompose you. Find your own sanctuary, but don't do it once every year. You need to do it more frequently. And to come to closure on this, why people lead? Why lead if we have all these difficulties? There is definitely a very, very important meaning to leadership. You have meaning of life. This is why you accept all these responsibilities. People might be, especially people who are well off, you might be at home really exercising peace of mind. But there is a higher goal, higher objective, and this is why people lead. But many people hesitate to lead because they're afraid. And because there is technical issues also, sometimes the measurement, the myth of measurement. Would I succeed? Would I not succeed? So measurement, by the way, is a useful tool. KPIs are good for performance management, but they don't measure the good of your work. And when, on the day of judgment, by the way, this is not me talking, this is the book, says, when you pass to the angels of judgment, they will not ask you, why did you save 433 lives and not 617 lives? They will not ask you, why did you build 918 schools, not 2,000 schools? Why did you create 2,000 jobs, not 3,000 jobs? So these measurements are good for our daily performance management and merit increases, by the way, something like that. But the meaning of leadership, you cannot measure good in life. And this is very important. And the form doesn't matter. If you are a leader, you want to make a difference in life. It's about Jimmy Carter when he left, defeated in 1980 to Ronald Reagan. He became a carpenter, more or less, building homes for the poor. This for and the President of the United States. He did not go and commit suicide after this. So the idea is the form that you are serving as a leader is not really the essence, the substance is. Doesn't matter if you are serving 20 people in a village somewhere and making a difference in their lives, or you're a minister in your own country, or a president, or a VP, or what have you. All these are forms. The essence of things, what am I really contributing to making life better? And to conclude the presentation, he talks in the final chapter on the sacred heart, قلب المقدس, قلب النقي. And it's really a reflection of exercising leadership is expression of aliveness. If you are alive, you express leadership is part of expressing that you are alive. But in the quest of saving ourselves from these risks, sometimes we give up too many of these qualities that are the essence of our livelihood, like innocence, curiosity, and compassion. So despite all the pains, a sacred heart will accept all the heat, all the nonsense, all the attacks, all the difficulties. This open heart with compassion will feel the pain for the others also. And keeping this naivety, clean heart, the capacity to ask questions innocently, genuinely, is a trait of a leader. And I would like really to conclude with this quote from the book. I hope the book is some of you have read it, some of you might get encouraged and read it, but it really touches your lives as leaders. People at whatever level that you are working on. And this will bring a lot of benefits to your daily lives. So I would like to conclude by reading this quote from the book. And it says, remember, when you lead, people don't love you or hate you. Mostly they don't know you. They love or hate the positions you represent. Indeed, we all know how quickly idealization turns into contempt when suddenly you disappoint someone who used to admire you. All of a sudden, you're no longer a good guy. By knowing and valuing yourself, Distinct from the roles you play, you gain the freedom to take risks within those roles. Your self-worth is not so tightly tied to the reactions of other people as they contend with your positions on issue. Moreover, you gain the freedom to take on a new role once the current one concludes, or simply you hit a dead end. Professor Heifetz used to conclude his lectures by saying, "May the force be with you." Let me say, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala يعلمنا ما ينفعنا وينفعنا بما يعلمنا, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be with all of us, inshallah ta'ala. Thank you very much.